I want to take a minute and just use this video to illustrate a few things in coding that have popped up, some issues, and hopefully clear some things up. There are some techniques that aren't really shown in the book that are essential and can cause some problems. And some of you have sent me some sample code, and the code was correct, but because of some of these issues, it wouldn't run. So if you look at my simulator right now, it's kind of stuck in a loop, and if I relaunch it, it gives me an error. Okay, and if I take this and it says line 19, attempt to index global down, a nil value. Now that's not written in really plain English, but what it is showing is that I'm attempting to use a name down and it has no value. So if I go back to my code, which is over here on the left, I look in line 19 and there's the line. Okay? There's nothing wrong with this line of code. Syntactically, it is exactly correct. The problem is in how Lua interprets code, meaning it's going to start, it's a top-down evaluation. So it's going to start in line 1, and it's going to go the whole way down through line 72, which is where my code ends. Now, it does these things in order. So 19 through 23, I have several event listeners. And in 19, I'm telling it to look for an item called down. But prior to line 19, there is nothing in my code that says down, or that I've named down. I don't get to declaring that until line 62. So what that means is that in order for this to work correctly, I need to remove this event listener and make sure I place it in my code after I've explained the name, or at least after I've loaded it in. So if I save my code and rerun my simulator, now I've got another error in line 20. It's the same kind of error because now I'm calling up and I don't declare up until line 56. So I can simply repeat the process. Now, placing it after each declaration, okay, that will work. However, it's a very good programming practice, at least in Lua, to put all of your event listeners at the very end of your code. That way you're sure that you've called and declared and used all the names that you're going to make active for events. You know, and in this case, I'm using only tap events, so it doesn't matter if I place them after each section because the tap will determine when it's actually called. But other events that we're going to get to won't work quite like that. So having them at the very end is a very good technique. So I'm just going to grab these others and move them down to the end of my code and then resave this. Now you can see my animation and I've got the buttons and I can move it down and I can move them up, which was the function of this particular program. I've got some transitions so that they animate a little bit at the beginning, and then I can control that movement up and down throughout. Alright, so again, that's kind of the focus of this video, dealing with the event listeners a little bit. The only other thing that we've encountered that's been somewhat of a problem is just syntax. You know, like here, I've named this my circle 4 with the capital C. Everywhere I use that name, my circle 4, I need to use the capital C. It has to be exactly the same. Okay, and names need to be unique. If I have 5 circles, as in this program, I need to name each circle differently, or else the computer will overwrite or get confused. If I have 5 things all called circle, how does it know which one I'm referring to? So that's, again, just a small wrap-up, short video on some of the issues that have popped up. Keep coding. You're doing a great job.